Welcome everybody, this is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call happening every single Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, except when it's a holiday season, either on summer or winter time in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, we will have a 2-week break again on this holiday season around the Christmas time frame and the New Year's Eve time frame, but we'll share all of those dates a bit later as we get closer to those end of the year, but it is actually coming pretty fast. Today is November 12th. Apparently, it is 42 days until Christmas for those who need to get prepared for that. Time is flying when you're having fun, right? My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager from the Microsoft 365 platform areas and focusing on the community topics. And today we do have a really cool set of demos coming up and a cool set of topics which we will cover together. So we'll again go through the general updates and latest announcements and recapping some of the assets for everybody. There's always new people within the call, so we want to make sure that everybody is up to date on where to get started. Then we'll have the latest news across the Microsoft blogs, and then we'll do a group photo together into together mode picture, which is a great opportunity of some waving hands for the community. We'll share all of those pictures of us in social media after the call as well. And then we move to the actual stars of today, who are John Miller, Paolo Pialorsi. I'll do a few slides, and Supreet is going to actually do a live demo on the third demo. But we'll start with a Microsoft Teams Toolkit demo, getting started there. It's not that everybody always knows on how to get started, and there might be some new tricks which you might learn, even though you've seen Teams Toolkit before as well. The next we'll go to the creating Viva connection bot-powered ACs with Teams Toolkit. So we continue the story with Teams Toolkit, but connecting that with Viva connection and together with bot-powered, bot framework-powered capabilities, which is a really cool technical implementation as well. And then the last demo will be in integrating Power Cards and Power Apps to the Viva Connection employee experiences. It's a really new thing, which we're just finalizing and starts rolling out quite soon to be available worldwide. But it's technically making sure that if you have created Power Cards or Power Apps, you can make them easily available directly within the Viva Connection dashboard. And we'll show that one as a live demo as well. Looking forward on that. Now, a quick recap on all of the different assets which we have available to get started. So we have our YouTube channel at Microsoft Community Learning channel at AKMS Community YouTube. Easiest way to actually stay up to date on all of the latest recordings and videos and everything what's available is by subscribing to that channel. We also update and share updates within LinkedIn and LinkedIn group. Those are available if you are in the LinkedIn platform. We do have a lot of open source assets available and samples available in multiple different locations, but as it might be a bit difficult to find the relevant sample for you, we then have this sample galleries. And these are basically abstraction layers on top of the GitHub, making sure that people can easily find the relevant sample and code and everything else relevant for them from one centralized location. All of the URLs, all of the information, all of that stuff available at the AKMS community home URL, so one URL to remember. Now, we do execute quite a lot of these community calls. There's at least 2 community calls every single week. So there's the Tuesday call, which is the one where you are today, happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, except for the holiday breaks. On top of that, we have the Power Platform Monday community call and Office Settings community call, which are monthly based. And then we have our 7 a.m. Pacific Thursday series, which is either the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or the Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community call. Those calls then are technically happening every single Thursday, even on holiday season. So we haven't had a break on these calls. I can't remember when. So we've been probably executing them close to 10 years already, or from the dawn of those calls when we started doing them, which is pretty cool. So even on holiday season, if nothing else, we will get together, drink some coffee, chat, do ad hoc demos and all of that within those calls. Even on Thanksgiving, which is in 2 weeks Thursday, that call will happen because Thanksgiving is a US holiday. It's not a global holiday. So therefore, there will be always people who are interested on seeing the latest and greatest in the community in the world. Anyway, you can download recurrent invites at the AKMS Community Calls, and you can always catch up on the latest agendas at AKMS Community Meetup, which is a great service to stay up to date on the agendas. Now, on those calls, we do welcome community demos. Easiest way to sign up for the community demos is to go to AKMS Community Request Demo, and this is available for anybody. So if you have something what you learn, you build something, doesn't have to be open source, doesn't have to be available for anybody, but you've learned something new, please do share that with the community, or you want to show something cool in out-of-the-box features, that's definitely welcome as well. So don't overthink this. your story, your approach is always different versus the other people's approaches. So it's not that somebody already did this demo 1.5 years ago. No. Maybe some of the people haven't seen that demo, and you always have your unique way of presenting and explaining your learning. So please sign up in here. The only exception is that we do not welcome product demos. So it has to be something related on what you learn as a sample, as an open source thing, and so on. Now, if you're not familiar on how to get started on the Microsoft Cloud, we do have a lot of assets available for you to get started. We do have our active Microsoft 365 developer program, where you can get a free E5 developer tenant if you qualify to this program. I will talk about that one in a second a bit more. And then we have a lot of individual Learn modules available at Microsoft Learn platform. These are free training packages for Microsoft 365 and for Power Platform. So all of the different things available for free for you to take advantage. Now, the Microsoft 365 developer program was previously completely free for anybody. Now it's only free for some people who qualify within the program. So you need to be a partner, Microsoft partner, or you need to have a Visual Studio subscription and a few other options as well. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot do any development, or if you want to have your own tenant. Right now, the cheapest way, if you don't qualify for that program, is to get a tenant for $72 in a year. Now, if you do development work for your customers, or if you are employed by a company, most likely $72 in a year for investing for your skills is not a massive amount of money. We do still acknowledge that it is an investment, but it's luckily not hundreds and hundreds of dollars which you have to pay to get a free tenant, which you can use, by the way, any way you want, and which will renew automatically as long as you keep on paying for that. So there's no requirements to do development features to get it qualified to get renewed. Also, for these kind of tenants, if you pay for them, you can also get the Microsoft 365 Copilot enabled for them as an add-on, which is not an option if you do Microsoft 365 developer tenants. So there's a certain level of thinking always which has to happen on which tenant is suitable for your business case. Now, we do have individual shows available for you to get started on Microsoft 365 Power Platform, and there is a PMP Weekly, which was, however, discontinued on mid-September. So we will move that from these promos, I think, by end of this year. Microsoft Community Mondays, or Mondays at Microsoft with Caruana and Heather, is happening bi-weekly on Mondays. Great show as well to cover the latest and greatest on what's happening around these areas. There's also the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast with Jeremy Fake and Andrew Connells, where they have been publishing new episodes pretty recently. So a lot of cool stuff there as well. Now, we talked a bit about the samples. There is this unified sample gallery at AKMS Community Samples from where you can actually access all of the different samples contributed by Microsoft and community. So this is aggregating samples across the GitHub, across multiple GitHub organizations, making it super easy to find the relevant sample for you. AKMS Community Samples is the location to find them. Now, as you find the sample in the GitHub, you might be wondering, oh my God, what is this? How do I get started? And that's why we have Sharing is Caring initiative, helping you to get started on many other things as well. And David from LA Studios is going to do a quick recap. What this is all about.
Yes, thank you, Vesa. And I am positively, see what I did there? Pause, dog, positively. I was channeling my inner Todd, but I'm positively everyone will find goodness in these Sharing is Caring sessions. They are here to provide hands-on guidance for the things that we want to learn about. So if you would like to learn how to make a contribution using GitHub, that session on the 25th, Monday coming up, just less than a couple weeks now, is for you. It is free. It is safe space. We don't record anything. So you can ask any and all questions that you may be fearful of going on a record for, because, hey, we all get a little scared thinking everybody should already know the answers, so we should. We're afraid to ask. It's okay. We're there to learn. Absolutely free. You want to get involved in using the samples, contributing to the samples, please join ak.ms/sharingiscaring, 100% free. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you for the amazing work that you're doing. And that is where our community recognition program comes in, alive and well, full of awesome new badges. We've got our Prompto, yeah. Sorry, it's all part of our foot, right? It's all one big body, right? Prompt Pro, and then we've got our Refresh Rangers, SVFX Toolkit. Back is a slice of sample season of getting, and you see that newest one up there, Snippet Sorcerer. So that is going to be for things like our script samples and Power Platform snippets. That is going to also be retroactive to the beginning of January. So if you've already contributed to one of those repos, you absolutely will get that. We We've got stars on it, so you can collect the 2-star and the 3-star variety. So get involved, ak.ms/community/recognition. 100% free. We cover the cost. Just need to know what your GitHub handle is, and then we'll track all the amazing work that you're doing. That's it. Back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent. Thank you, LA and Helsinki taking over. Now, quick recap on all of the different events which are happening all around the world this week. TechCon 365 Dallas is happening at Dallas. November 11th to 15th. Today is 12th of November. So a few more days still ongoing there. So if you're based in Dallas or around there, you can still actually visit the event today and during this week. On top of this, next week we have Ignite happening, and this in-person experience is already sold out, but the online experience is available for everybody. You just need to register at ignite.microsoft.com, and you can free watch most of the shows which are available. Then a few weeks after that, we have the European SharePoint conference happening at Stockholm, where we have more than 200 sessions all around the Microsoft presenters, MVPs, all of that. Great opportunity to also meet up with the community members if you are on this side of the pond. And please notice that you can save 150 euros with the discount code of Microsoft 365 Call if you use that one when you register there. And then on spring, there's a lot of other events as well, but probably the biggest one will be the European Collaboration Summit, which is a European Collaboration Summit, European AI and Cloud Summit, and European Biz App Summit happening all together. So more than 3,000 attendees at Düsseldorf, 26th to 28th of May. Really, really cool event as well. On top of this, we have a lot of other events available, a bit smaller, a bit bigger, or might be smaller, bigger. And some of these are in person, some of them are online. So there's an opportunity of joining them also potentially remotely. But we really, really encourage also the people to meet other people and community members in person, if that's possible. So if you have a look on the dates, there's Germany, there's United States, Ohio, Oslo, Norway, Hungary, a lot of things happening all around the world. So please don't miss out. communitydays.org as the one URL to find what's relevant, what the events are happening all around the world. That made kind of sense in English, I guess. Now, quick recap on the latest news. Not a massive amount of news this week, but there are some news around the Power Platform, and also especially on Viva side, we had 5 different updated news. So if you're interested in staying up to date on what's happening and what has been announced by Microsoft across Microsoft 365 Power Platform, that's the listing within the chat right now. Thank you, David, for copying that over there. And we also wanted to recap our Copilot prompts repo. These samples are actually also available and exposed from the sample gallery, but a great opportunity if you're wondering on, I would like to really understand what's the thing with Microsoft 365 Copilot. Have a look on the Copilot prompts, test those out within your environment if you have access, and you'll understand immediately what's the value out of the AI helping you to be more productive. Now, before we then go to the actual stars of the day, right about schedule, let's actually do a quick group photo together. So if you're willing to enable your camera, we will then capture a GIF animation out of this and publish that in the social media. We do have 50 seats in the room. I'm on the back row with John and Todd, so that's good. Yay! But a few more seats in the room, so let's try to fill in the room. And we have the SharePoint monkey in the house as well. Those who do not know, all of the attendees, I think it was SharePoint Conference 2018 in Las Vegas. No, was it Ignite? I can't remember. But anyway, everybody got the SharePoint monkey. That's the monkey in the picture. Yes. A few more seats if you can fill in the room. And I will start recording in a second. And let's actually do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining. Let's do some hand waving. Yay! Thank you, everybody, for joining. Awesome to have you as part of the community, and awesome to see so many familiar faces in this course. Thank you once again. And we'll share a GIF animation in the social media for this one. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Cool. Then it's time to go to the real stars of the day. So we'll start with John Miller around the Microsoft Teams Toolkit, getting introduction on that one. We'll move then to Paolo, and then I'm going to do a few slides, and then Supreet is actually going to do the really, really cool demo related on Power Platform and Viva connection integration. But John, I can see you on the call. I think you are good to go, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent.
Let me get sharing. Quick caveat, my Teams was just kicked me out and I had to rejoin. So if I'm talking and I suddenly disappear, just give me a moment. I will join right back in.
We'll definitely let you know, or whatever. We'll do post editing if needed. So
yeah,
this
I'll
is
keep
good.
I have the chat open, so if suddenly you don't hear me or whatever, oh wait, no, I had to open the chat again. But just let me know. If not, I'll rejoin.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jordan. And I can see the slides. Take it away.
Great. All right. So this is the first in a series on Teams Toolkit that I'm hoping to do. So this is the introduction. So here's a look at what I'm currently have planned, and there's some dates here in the infamous US format. So today is an introduction, and I'll just go over kind of a high-level overview of Teams Toolkit for folks who might be unfamiliar or maybe haven't heard it. I haven't really talked about this for a while. So this will be an introduction, high-level overview on Teams Toolkit, and I'm going to dive through a deeper dive in the next couple weeks on the VS Code extension, the Visual Studio extension, the CLI, how to deploy these projects to Azure, and how to use the app CLI. And then I put some question marks there because I'm not sure what else we'll do next, but I have some ideas, but open to feedback if there's something you want to see. So just let me know. So real quick, for folks who aren't familiar, I thought it might be helpful just real quick to cover why build apps for Teams. So these are some things that I think are useful. It's a place where we all communicate. We're doing it right now. We're inside of a meeting. We can chat. Lots of organizations are doing that daily. So you can integrate with your services, your line of business apps directly inside of Teams, not have to context switch or maybe keep the collaboration even tighter. You can connect with external customers this way. You can share information. It could make your internal app more discoverable. So if you already have an LOB app that you've built and it's an intra app somewhere and you want to surface it inside of Teams, it could be a good way to distribute it and make it easier for your users to find inside of your organization. Also can, with that in mind, could maybe increase user engagement that way too. So some other ways is you can automate things, you can send notifications, you can put information where people are. So that those are some reasons why you might want to build apps. Some examples of that I put in here. So commonly we see like interactive dashboards are a good way to do it. You can integrate with your existing SaaS in Teams or Outlook. You could bring in CI/CD notifications. This is a popular one, like if you want to have some build status or something inside of a Teams channel or inside of a chat, notify your engineers of something going wrong. This is a very common scenario. So basic stuff like that. You can embed content in the mail. So let's say you want to paste a link and you want it to unfurl into something a little nicer or maybe interactive, show live status updates, show charts, things like that. Those are all options. And then you can start getting into some really cool, the new stuff that you might be following along with, but if not, you can also build conversational experiences with AI, either as your own kind of chatbot or integrating with Copilot. So some common challenges with that. It can be pretty overwhelming. I hear that a lot from developers. They say like, wow, there's a lot of documentation. There's a lot of things, a lot of samples, a lot of templates, a lot of words, a lot of things to read. So that's pretty common feedback. It's also can be challenging to set up. It can be pretty tedious. There's lots of go to this portal, click this, go to this website, do that. And then enter this and bot framework, and you get all sorts of buzzwordy things, and it can be pretty overwhelming. I'm like, geez, I just want to send a notification. It can be hard to debug, and hosting it is another challenge. Like, what does it mean to host a Teams app? What is a Teams app really? And then maybe, are my complex requirements at my company going to work? Or, common things. So with that in mind, we kind of set out a couple years ago to try and build developer tools to help the experience for many of these challenges. So that's where we came up with Teams Toolkit. So Teams Toolkit is really these things. It is project templates and samples and documentation. And on top of that, we've built a composable task runner system to help with the tedious setup. We have ways to group configuration sets, which we call environments. We have defaults for infrastructure to host these things that we use Bicep for that. We have a simulator-like tool for testing these apps inside of Teams, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We have design time previewers for adaptive cards, so that can help you build adaptive cards for Teams and get kind of an accurate rendering. And we also have templates for GitHub Workflow and Azure DevOps for when you want to implement CI and CD to use our tools. And then we also have integration with dev tunnels. So if you want to automatically set up a dev tunnel to debug these conversational experiences like bots, all of that can be automated for you. A little more practically, like what does all that mean? How is it packaged? These are kind of the ways we package all of those things. And we package them as extensions in Visual Studio and VS Code. And we also have a CLI, which we call the Teams App CLI. And then we have two additional tools, which is the Teams App Test tool. This is the simulator-like thing I mentioned. And then we also have the Adaptive Card Previewer for VS Code. So this is another extension that's available in VS Code to help you kind of design time preview adaptive cards. So that's kind of the main things that we package and release as part of Teams Toolkit. The benefits of using Teams Toolkit. So we talked, a little bit about being overwhelming. Teams Toolkit aims to give you like a single place to get started. So you can just go to the toolkit, create a new project in tools you're familiar with, like VS Code or Visual Studio. You can automate the setup of a lot of the dependencies needed for Teams apps, like bot framework or Enter ID or a Teams app ID. All of these kind of things that you need to normally jump between portals and copy things and paste things. All of that can be automated, and you can just get started and really in just a few minutes. You can also use your familiar tools. So we have these things for VS and VS Code, and we also have a CLI tool. So you really can use our systems pretty much wherever you're developing. And we've really worked over the past couple of years to make this customizable. So if you haven't been following along, long ago, Teams Toolkit existed, like 3+ years ago, and it was a totally different thing. And we kept the name, but we totally redesigned it. So we've really worked to make it customizable and flexible. So yes, you can adopt our opinions if you want, but as your project scales or grows, or maybe you have some different opinions, we've tried to make it as flexible as possible so you can pick and choose what you want to use and where you want to plug in your own like automation things or your own workflow desires, or use whatever tools you want. And then you can also use it for deploying and publishing as well. It's not just a project template and getting started thing or like a proof of concept thing. You can use it to deploy to Azure. You can use it to publish to Teams, etc. So here's a look at our opinion on kind of the developer workflow on where Teams Toolkit fits. And we have kind of pieces extending across the life cycle here. So like develop and debug, we have a way for you to manage which identities you want to use in M365 and Azure as you want to create these things. You really can start from creating a new project using our template or starting from a sample. And then if you desire, you can go all the way to provisioning through to Azure and then deploying to Azure. And you could plug those in either from the tools, or what we see a lot of folks do is they use the CLI and hook it up to like GitHub or Azure DevOps. You can also do a lot of checks for developer tasks when you're building these things, like check the schema, check the manifest, create an app package. All these little things that you have to do. There's clickable things you can do, or there's commands you can run, whichever you prefer. All right, so the next couple of slides, I'll just go over the high-level concepts that are introduced in a toolkit that I see a lot of folks struggle with. And there are some opinions here in the toolkit on how we organize all of these features. And the first one is really the environments concept. And this gets a little nuancy because I think many of us may have, but if you haven't heard of environments, there are these, you can use environment files. It's kind of available across different tech stacks. I'm most familiar with like Node having this, but you can have env files on disk, and that is not the same as what this is. So Teams Toolkit has a way for you to customize the environment variables for Teams Toolkit. So not your app runtime, and that's what I put here. And I think that's the most confusing part when folks are first getting started. Is so the environment files that you'll see in our toolkit are to express the configuration for Teams Toolkit. And you can still keep your own environment files for your app runtime, and we have ways for you to interop with them between. But for example, the toolkit needs to know what your Teams app ID is, but your app runtime may not. So we have these things separated, and we can group them up into things like, this is my local environment, this is my dev environment, this is my QA environment. And you can create like sets of these things, and we call those environments, and it just uses files. We used to abstract this away to something more complicated, but we found it was much simpler for you to dive in and edit and see what was going on if we just kept it as environment files. So that's what we have today. And then we have task running actions that use these environment files and just uses a mustache syntax for replacement. So if you put this syntax in some of the files that the toolkit works with, it will replace values for you automatically during these steps that it performs. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. The Teams Toolkit has configuration files. So these are YAML-based files, and these are a way for you to express what the toolkit does. It's really how you kind of peel back, like what happens when the toolkit runs a provision command or a deploy command. You just look in the YAML file. Usually when things go wrong or you want to customize it, you just go into the YAML file and you can look and see what it's doing. And it's kind of a sequence. It's a script, basically. So you can define what the toolkit does at each step. It works in coordination with environments like local, test, or remote, and it's also editable and customizable. All the templates include like defaults for whatever the template is. Like if you have a bot, the YAML file will be set up to provision everything you need for a bot. But let's say later you want to add a tab or you want to customize something, you can go in and add those things. And then all the configuration files contain actions. And this is a lot like GitHub workflows. So if you've seen that syntax, it might be familiar, but if not, it's pretty simple to grasp. And we have a lot of documentation on these things, but they're predefined automation tasks tuned for M365 and Teams scenarios. So this is things like creating a Teams app ID, creating an Entra ID app registration, bot framework registration. I have a couple of them listed here. There's all sorts of things, even some more generic, like deploying via ARM or Bicep. Also just running a generic script command. If you have some other CLI you want to interrupt with, we have some like generic things that you can plug into our actions. One other thing we have is the Teams app test tool, which I mentioned. This is a kind of a simulator-like experience for Teams, but it's a locally running web app that we package with Teams Toolkit. So when you run in the test tool environment, we'll basically install an npm package that's a local running web server that just has like a React UI that has a lot of Teams-like experiences. This is a really cool way for you to get started if you don't have permission to run an app in your Teams environment because your admin's disabled it, or it's also can be really useful just to iterate quickly on a conversational experience. Today it supports like bots and message extensions. So if you want to just chat and test like some piece of your application logic, not necessarily a Teams piece, this can be a quick way to mock activities that Teams would do, like, user installs your app, user leaves a channel, that kind of stuff. You can mock all of that with the test tool and then just test your code. So it helps you focus more on your code and also get started if you don't have accounts to log in. And then I also mentioned the adaptive card previewer. It's another extension in VS Code to give you design time rendering, and it uses the same rendering stack as Teams. So let me just show you real quick those things. So this is VS Code. This is how you get Teams Toolkit. You can install it from the marketplace. And once it's installed, you get an icon over here on the left. And this is where you can kind of manage like the Teams Toolkit tooling. So you can sign in with your account. You can sign in with an M365 account and an Azure account. These are the identities the tools will use to run these commands. And we do some checks, like to check if you're allowed to upload apps. So this is the custom app upload permission that your admin can disable. We also check if you have Copilot access. You can see I don't have it in my tenant. So if I'm doing Copilot-like things, the toolkit's going to warn me that, hey, this may not work in your tenant because you don't have a license for that. You can manage environments here. This is really just creating files, but this is kind of a visual way for you to see them and have some commands to like launch Teams in that environment or launch Outlook in that environment. We have places for you to get started creating a new app or viewing samples, how-to guides, and then how to run these provision, deploy, and publish lifecycle commands. And those commands really just trigger the actions in that step. So let me show you the configuration files that I was mentioning. This project has all three of them, but I think it's simpler to just start with teamsapp.yaml. This lives in the root of your project, and this is where we express kind of the automation tasks for setting up a Teams app. So these are things that can help you save you time for the tedious setup of going to different portals and clicking into and doing things. So for example, the first one in here is to create a Teams app. So this is a way for you to get a Teams app ID. And you can see the syntax is, the name of the action and some input like parameters. So what's the name of my Teams app? And then also it has some outputs. And the outputs in this case is going to write to an environment variable called Teams app ID. So this pairs nicely with the environments feature of Teams Toolkit, which by default is in this env folder. And I have a couple different environments. This file is going to work with my dev environment. So the Teams app ID is, just a variable here. I can paste this in if I already have one. The Toolkit will use it. Or if I run the provision command in this case, because this is in the provision block, which I can click this to run it, then it will fill that value in. And basically what these actions are doing is it's not using our CLI, but you can think of it like that. It's using a CLI command basically to create an app ID in Teams Developer Portal with your identity and fill it in here for you. And then that's kind of how all these actions work. This one will deploy infrastructure files, and then there's a bunch of them. We have some overrides for this. So my remote environment might need some different automation tasks than my local kind of like debugging environment. So we have 3 that you can basically create. Teams app.yaml will work for all of your remotes. And then Teams app.local is a way for you to override. What do I want to do when I start debugging or F5 inside of VS Code? And so you can do it that way. And real quick, I think how much time do I have, Vesa? Am I out of time?
You're technically out of time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just
when you're having fun.
Yeah. Let me just show this slide real quick. Just for what your next steps are. You can use this link, aka.ms/ttk. That'll take you to where you can get started if you want to try these things. And then join me next time, and I will show you more in depth on how to use the VS Code extension. And then we'll go from there and go through the different tools, and I'll do a deeper dive on actually building something with these things. So there you go.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Great introduction on what's available and walking through different tooling, which is there. Super important to actually know. So super cool. Thank you, John, on that one. Really cool. Now, Paolo is next on the demo setup, and we can see the slides. I think audio is there as well.
Yep, I hope so.
Yes, it's all good. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Vesa. So let's have a look at how we can create extensions for Microsoft Viva Connection using the new model called bot-powered ACEs, using the Teams Toolkit and TypeScript. So we're going to use Teams Toolkit in VS Code. So first of all, let's have an overview of what a bot-powered ACE is. And basically, it is a relatively new technology introduced by Microsoft to extend the Viva Connection dashboard using a server-side technology instead of using a client-side technology like we used to do with the SharePoint framework-based adaptive card extensions. And with these new bot-powered ACEs, we can either use C# and .NET or Node.js and, for example, TypeScript and the bot framework for JavaScript to build experiences inside the Viva Connection dashboard. And those are really useful whenever you want, for example, to hide private algorithm or secret API keys or stuff like that in a backend infrastructure, which can be used if you are working on a client-side technology and you don't want to have in the client-side such kind of stuff like, as I said, private algorithms or secret APIs or stuff like that. When you do that, you basically build a bot. Behind the scenes of those adaptive card extensions, you build a bot. And when it is a bot built with the Teams Toolkit, it can even be a bot that you have already created to extend Microsoft Teams and that you want to enrich to also provide capability inside Viva Connection dashboard. When you create a bot-powered ACE, you can also consume Microsoft Graph or any other third-party API in a secure way using open authorization and Microsoft Entra ID. So it is a new and powerful technology that you can use to extend Viva Connection dashboard. So let me move to the demo and let's have a look at how you can build such kind of experiences right now using Teams Toolkit. So first of all, I want to show you how a bot-powered ACE looks like in the Viva Connection dashboard. And actually, it looks like any other adaptive card extension, to be fair. So this one that you see right here, this feedback card, which I have here in my Viva Connection dashboard, has been created using the bot-powered ACEs model. All of the others are based on the SPFX model, but you don't see from an end-user experience the difference. This one is just a sample to collect the feedback from a user. So I can say, hello, from my ACE, and I can submit this feedback through this UI. I can get back a response from the adaptive card, and I can also activate, as like is any other adaptive card extension for Viva Connection, I can activate the so-called quick view, which is an additional and extended view where I can build rich content based on the adaptive card's syntax. So this is the experience for an end user in a desktop environment, but the real key feature of the Viva Connection dashboard is that it is also really powerful when used in a mobile device. And that's why I want to show you also how it behaves in a mobile experience on a smartphone, for example. And here you can see exactly the same adaptive card extension running on my smartphone. I can still submit a feedback, I can get back a response, I can activate the quick view and get a feedback from there. So that's the idea of the adaptive card extension, which can adapt very easily on desktop and mobile experiences and are mainly designed to provide a good user experience in mobile devices. So now what we are going to do right now is to go through the steps to create an adaptive card extension with the bot-powered ACEs technology. And I also want to let you know that there is a new article that we just released on learnmicrosoft.com, which gives you the step-by-step guidance to build such a solution in your own development environment. And you can also find in the sample gallery of the community these new sample that we released yesterday, as well as here you can find the GitHub repository where you can find a bunch of samples, and specifically the one that I'm going to show you right now to collect the feedback using Teams Toolkit and TypeScript. I already pasted in the chat the links, so feel free to use them to dig into the topic. So now let's move to the keyboard and let's do something real and concrete. So first of all, I'm going to use the Teams Toolkit, as I said, and I'm in VS Code, so the Teams Toolkit for VS Code. When you activate the Teams Toolkit, you can create a new application. If you want to create a bot-powered ACE, it has to be a bot application. You can start from the basic bot template. I'm going to use TypeScript. I need to use it or to specify a target folder where the solution will be stored, and then I need to provide a name for my solution, which could be, for example, hello bot-powered ACEs or whatever you like, okay? This will be my solution. I will get the scaffolding of a new solution in Visual Studio Code. And what we have here is, aside from the bot itself, so from the class that defines the actual behavior of the bot itself, we have, thanks to how the Teams Toolkit works, we have the infra folder where we can find the bicep files, which will take care of doing the provisioning of the solution and of the services on Microsoft Azure. So here we will have all of the statement in bicep to create, for example, the web application which will host our bot, as well as the actual bot in the bot services of Azure, together with the channels that we want to use for the bot. Plus, we have an index file where we have the actual HTTP server running the bot and handling the messages that will be sent to the bot to provide the actual business logic of the bot. And we have the end folder where we have all of the environment files, as well as in the app package, we find a manifest.json file, which defines the solution that we're going to deploy in the Microsoft 365 target tenant. So when you scaffold the solution, that's what you get. Now, if you want to create a bot-powered ACE, first thing first, you need to update one of the packages, because right now, with the current version of the Teams Toolkit, you get the bot builder with this version. Actually, we need to update with npm install bot builder to the latest version, and we want to save this new version. By doing that, we will upgrade to the latest one, which includes a bunch of new types which are related to the bot-powered ACEs. It takes a few seconds and it should be available. Once you have done that, I would suggest you and advise you to also do the npm install of all of the other packages right here if you want to work in the code base of your solution. And as soon as it will be ready, we can switch to the actual code of our bot and see what we need to do to create a bot-powered ACE. And here we are. So let me go to the bot. And first of all, instead of having a bot for Teams, now we are going to slightly change the behavior of our bot, and we are going to inherit or to extend the SharePoint activity handler instead of the Teams activity handler. The SharePoint activity handler is still defined in the bot builder package. This new handler has been introduced to provide the capabilities of the bot-powered ACEs. So let me get rid of the actual content of this class. Let me show you that you can do the override of methods which are on SharePoint. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, on, let's see, on SharePoint. Actually, I'm not looking for this one. Most likely, I need to import all of the other packages. Sorry about that. npm e. But basically, inside the SharePoint activity handler, if I do F12, we can see that we have the business logic to handle a set of new actions like the get card view, get quick view, and many more, which will be the actions that we use to provide the business logic to run our adaptive card extension in the Viva connection dashboard. So you can inherit from this type. And simply, let me now try again, it should be fine. So override on SharePoint, and here we are. So for example, I can have the on SharePoint task get card view method. I can override this one and provide a card view to activate in the UI of the user. Or I can override the on SharePoint get quick view if I want to provide one specific quick view in the rendering of the UI. And we also have a few other methods available that we can override, like override on SharePoint task handle to handle interaction with the user. So when the user will click buttons in the UI or the adaptive card extension, this method will be triggered. And all of these methods actually under the cover will simply rely on the handling of these actions for our bot. So if you already have a bot running in Teams and you just want to extend it, you can even just provide this custom logic on the overriding on the on-invoke activity and just provide additional logic for these messages. Or if you are creating a new bot-powered ACE from scratch and you are not updating an existing bot for Teams, you can rather inherit from this type and provide your own implementation. Now, I want to show you an already ready-to-go bot-powered ACE that I created. So let me switch to this solution where I inherit from SharePoint activity handler as before. And here what I did is to, first of all, define a unique ID for my bot-powered ACE, which is something that we always need to do to identify the bot-powered ACE in the dashboard. Then I defined a dictionary of card views of objects of type card view response, so that in the constructor of my bot, I simply define an object called ACE data of type ACE data, which will define a set of basic information for all of the card views that I will have in my ACE. And then I define all of the cards for my solution that I showed you before, the one to collect the feedback. So for example, I have the feedback card view, which is the one that I use to get the feedback from the user. And in this one, I create a card view response, which is based on the ACE data that I showed you before. And then we say that this is a text input card. So it's a card with an input type text. I have a title, I have a header, I have a body in which I have an input text field with this specific ID, and I have a footer with a button that the user can click to submit the feedback. Moreover, I can create another card view, which is the one to say, okay, I've got your feedback. So this will be an image card view. There are factory methods that we can use. And here I'm creating a card view, which will have on the right side an image and on the left side the actual feedback collected by the user. So again, I provide the header part of the ACE, I provide a text in the body of the ACE, and I provide an image, which will be the one rendered on the right side to show the feedback to the user. Now, once I have defined these card views and I collected them in the dictionary, whenever the user will need to activate through the UI a card view, the on SharePoint task get card views async method will be triggered, and from here I can provide the card view response that I want to render. And by default, I'm rendering the feedback one, which is the initial one. Then when the user will click on the button to submit the feedback, we will go to the on SharePoint task handle action async. And in this one, if the action is the submit action for the send feedback, well, we simply get the feedback value provided by the user in the request data, and we use it to provide the output to the user. And here I'm simply configuring the output to see, okay, this is the feedback that you provided me, but you can do whatever you want. And of course, if the user will click the OK button in the feedback form, we will go back to the initial form. Plus, whenever you want to render a quick view, in the ACE, you need to provide the implementation of this method. And here, using the adaptive card syntax, you can build an adaptive card and provide the output. So here, if you are used to developing adaptive cards, you can recognize how we can do that with ACEs. Once you've done that, you have to create or to update the manifest file to declare that you have a section of dashboard cards. And here you specify that you have a specific dashboard, which will match to the item that we just created as a bot-powered ACE. Here we use the ID of the bot that we created, and we reference the bot that we have in our solution. Once you're done with that, leveraging the Teams Toolkit, you just do the provisioning, deploying, and publish of the solution. It will become available online, and within 24 hours, it will become available also in the dashboard of the Viva connections. And from there, you will be able to use the card and play with it and test it and so on and so forth. So this was a quick overview of what you need to do using the Teams Toolkit to create such kind of extensions for Viva Connection. Let me briefly go back to the slide deck just to remind you that there are a couple of useful links. The article that I showed you at the beginning and the sample that you can find on the sample gallery so that you can download it and play with it and create your own bot-powered ACEs with Teams Toolkit. I think that's all for me, Vesa, so back to you. Thank you.
Excellent, Paolo. Thank you. Really, really cool stuff. And just to recap on that one, the whole point of this one is that if you have an existing Microsoft Teams bot, you can easily extend that to also talk to Viva Connection. That's really the objective of creating a Viva Connection bot-powered ACEs. Of course, if you're targeting Viva Connection, you can absolutely do that with SharePoint Framework, or you can do that also with the Power Card integrations and Power Apps integration, which we're going to talk today as well. But that's quick intros from Paolo. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, John, on the intros. Now, next we're going to move to the third demo of today. So let's talk about integrating Power Cards and Power Apps to the Viva Connection employee experiences. And Supreet is going to do a live demo. I'm going to just position a bit about what was Viva Connection again, and how does this story ties into the Viva Connection employee experiences, corporate communication, and the storytelling of the company integration options. So a lot of opportunities here. This is a new capability which is not quite yet available as we are recording this demo, but is starting to roll out relatively soon. And should be available by end of this calendar year for all of the customers. Calendar year meaning 2024 calendar year. But let's start with a quick recap, just the positioning on the Viva Connection. So Viva Connection is currently part of our employee communication and community setup, which is basically SharePoint, Viva Amplify, Viva Engage, and Viva Connection. And they kind of all have their own storyline within our employee engagement platform. So making sure that corporate communications works, and there's this kind of a me approach for your relevant applications, for you as an end user accessing things, and then the community through Viva Engage. The Viva Connection is really the people-centered and branded employee experiences across all of the device types. So you can kind of think this as the me-centered access point for all of the relevant applications within your company. So the intranets and is corporate communication thing. Viva Connection really focuses on you, so providing relevant application for you as an individual. So you can find your relevant tools and apps from one centralized location. You can customize, of course, this based on branding and settings and configuration, based on the company brands and company settings, and it can be personalized. And that means that you can actually target the relevant cards and relevant functionalities based on the roles and individuals who are watching or accessing the application. A lot of opportunities there. Now, quick positioning. We always try to recap on this one because we're like, wait a minute. We have the SharePoint. Yes, SharePoint is your top intranet. That's the cool custom intranet, which is pixel perfect storytelling, and that's the company brand. What the company is all about. Navigate my entire company. And again, the Viva Connection is how do I'm part of that company? How can I access my personal news and relevant information within the company which is relevant for my role and my responsibilities? So my employee experiences, my application, my resources, and of course that connects directly to the intranet as well. And all of this can be branded based on the company settings and branding and all of that stuff. A lot of opportunities in here as well. Now, quick recap on the integration of the cards. Today, we're going to talk about the new integration option, but we have the no-code option. And in here, you're basically linking to the Teams app, or you can link to the Power Apps as well. So you can imagine the Viva Connection dashboard to be showing the relevant Power Apps for your role or your company-specific roles. And frontline workers might have different set of Power Apps or Teams apps in the dashboard, and then different people in the financials might have a different set of applications available there. So having that kind of a grouping in one centralized dashboard provides value for customers. You can also create low-code capabilities, so you can approach to customize the Viva Connection using low-code story. This is where you do static adaptive cards. Adaptive cards can be also powered by advanced APIs capabilities, so you can hit a graph API, making that adaptive card to actually dynamic based on the data of the user. And then we have the Power Card support, and we're looking in the Copilot Studio support also in the future. Today, the story here is the Power Card and Power App support, which we're gonna see live within a second. And then the third option is the pro developer storytelling, where we actually use the SharePoint framework to build the cards, and those cards can be then surfaced in the Viva Connection or in SharePoint, and more broadly actually in the SharePoint in the future even. And then we have the store model for ISVs. So if you're an ISV, you can build cards which any customer can acquire and then pay money for you as they're acquiring that from the store. And those are deployed directly to the tenant level. So it's not an end user capability because it's acquired and centrally managed by IT. But today we're going to focus on actually staying first time live using Power Cards and Power Apps in the Viva Connection dashboard. And Supreet is here to actually show us what that means in practice. But if you, Supreet, can share your screen, let's actually move to your screen and see the demo.
Sure. Thanks, Vesa. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Let me share my screen.
Screen is visible. Vesa. Can you zoom in a bit? It's really small.
Is it better?
It's better now. Yes, that is good. Excellent.
As I navigate through the screens, let me know if I need to zoom in again.
Yep, absolutely. Take it away.
Sure. So, hey everyone, I'm Supreet, an engineer in the Viva Connections team. Really excited to be presenting for the first time to our community, and in accordance with Murphy's Law, my desktop just shut down right now, and it just started again. So, all right. Let me walk you through an overview of the Power Cards for Viva Connections feature. Firstly, the what. So Viva Connections is a single pane of glass for all your company apps, and you want to enable customers with Power Platform investments to be able to reuse their investments for either creating new solutions or building their existing solutions to Viva Connections. If you're familiar with PowerFX, you can easily create Viva Connections apps through Power Cards, which otherwise would have required knowledge of SharePoint framework or the bot framework. And as Vesa mentioned before, if you want to achieve something similar right now, you could paste a deep link to the Power App through the web link card. Through this new feature, we want to enable you to build a more tightly integrated solution for Viva Connections so that users can perform quick actions through the Viva Connections dashboard itself. So now let me walk you through what Power Cards are and how we are planning to integrate them in Viva Connections. So to use power cards or to create power cards, you navigate to the make.powerapps.com portal. You select cards from the pane. I've already created a card called patient record. Let me play it for you. This is a Dataverse-based card that lets you complete the micro task of registering a new patient or creating an appointment for an existing patient. Right now, this card can be added to Teams through either directly copying a link or through Power Automate Flow. Here's how the card looks like when shared in Teams chat. So you can share it. People can perform small tasks like approvals, or in this case, creating or managing patient appointments. And now how we are planning to add this card to Viva Connections dashboard. So we have added one more option here called Enable Card in Viva Connections. This lets you deploy the card as a quick view in Viva Connections. So firstly, you'll go to this make the play page, you'll test out your card, and once you are satisfied, you'll click Enable Card in Viva Connections. Usually the power card lives for a limited time, which is 60 days. After you enable it for Viva Connections, it will stay up indefinitely. So you don't need to worry about it being cleaned up. So I'll press enable, the link gets copied, and then I'll go to my Viva Connections dashboard. I'll edit the page. It looks like I need to refresh. And in add a card, I search for Power Apps card. I can open up the property pane and I'll paste the link that I just copied. The title, description, etc. will get auto-populated if provided. I can choose to configure a button that will open up the quick view, and I can also audience target this card to specific audiences in my organization. Now, once I republish the card, here is how it will look like on my Viva Connections experience. So we go ahead and refresh. Yeah, here is the card that I just added. This is the micro app. So let me just walk through creating an appointment for a patient that just walked in. I can choose one of the options here, just screen checkup, select the date, create appointment. Yeah, so this is how we can add existing power cards to Viva Connections. Next, let me give you a bit of overview about the cards maker experience. Just to walk you through some basic functionality of what all is provided by the cards. So firstly, this maker experience is very similar to the Power Apps maker experience. You can drag and drop UI elements and then write low-code business logic using PowerFX. Next, your data. Data can be added through these connectors as of now. Right now, for Viva Connections, we are just supporting the Dataverse connector. And of course, in Dataverse, you can ingest data using external sources as well, like SQL, Salesforce, etc. Another feature of Power Cards is screens. So we can have multiple screens built using adaptive cards. So this is the first landing screen. This is another appointment screen. This is a patient registration screen that I created. And using PowerFX, you can write your business logic for button clicks. You can also control the text and other elements like visibility using the PowerFX. Let me show how we can add or make changes to this card. So for that, I'll simply add a button to my card. Suppose I already have a Power App built that does the more complicated task associated with the patient record system. So I will select the open URL action and I'll paste the Power App URL here. And simply save it, play it again. Now, once I'm satisfied again with my changes here, I'll again click Enable Card in Viva Connections. And so one thing to note here is, since this card has already been added, I do not need to copy and paste the link again. So whenever users open the dashboard one more time, which I will simulate by refreshing the page, they will automatically see the latest changes. And another feature that we have for the Power Apps card is that in the edit experience, you can also choose to paste links to your Power Apps. So in case you want to directly have a deep link to your Power Apps, you can do so. You can just paste the link here. Also, you can add your existing Power cards to Power Solutions, where it can be coupled with other dataverse, tables, flows, etc. Okay, that is all from my side. So this is how you can leverage Microsoft's low-code platform for Viva connection solutions. Thank you, Vesa. Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Supreet, on that one. Really, really cool. That's a super capability. And just to also show a kind of a recap, of course, all of this works in the mobile as well. So because Viva Connection is really targeted not only for the desktop, but also for the mobile. So you can access all of that capabilities and Power Apps and Power Cards directly in the mobile as well and being rendered in a mobile view. This is directly taken from my iPhone, just to demonstrate how things are working there as well. So as we're rolling out this new feature, you can start also exposing Power Apps and Power Cards directly within the Viva Connection in the Viva in the Employee Experiences platform. So you can combine, mix and match depending on what are the skill sets and what are the applications your company is using in specific for your company. So there's multiple different options, and we'll definitely do additional demos, additional storytelling, documentation, all of these options as the feature is fully rolled out. As said, as this demo was presented, the feature was not yet fully out for all of the customers. But thank you, Supreet, on a great demo on how to do that in practice as well. Really cool. Good. So that was the 3 demos of today. 3 is always a lot of content, so we are already 1 minute over time. That's quite typical, unfortunately, if we have 3 demos in a call, because there's so much to talk about, so much exciting stuff happening across Power Platform, Microsoft 365 Teams, and Viva, and SharePoint, and all of that stuff. But thank you, John. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, Supreet. Really cool demos today. We'll publish the recording in the YouTube channel within 24 hours, so please follow up on there. You're able to catch on that. Now, next week, our call is partly overlapping with the Microsoft 365 Microsoft Ignite 2024 keynote. So what we're going to do is that we're going to do a watch party for the first 30 minutes of the call, and then for the latter part of the call, we're going to recap what was the key announcements within the Microsoft Ignite 2024. So there's a 2.5-hour keynote in Ignite 2024, and the last 30 minutes of that keynote we're overlapping with the call. So there's no point for us to do demos because there's so much cool stuff getting announced there. So we're going to recap what was announced. Let's talk about that together if you're joining on the call as well next week. And then on 26th of November, I think we have 3 demos already scheduled in there as well. Now, in the meanwhile, feel free to join us on Discord server or use any other social media platform to engage with the community. There's a lot of options, and Discord is not the only option. We enable that to see if there's interest on that one, and we do have 2,300 members already in Discord. So if you are in the Discord platform, feel free to join there as well and have continue discussions with the community. Of course, there's a lot of other forums as well available for you for Power Platform or Microsoft 365 discussions. And super important for us as well is your feedback. So if you like the calls, if you don't like the calls, if you have constructive feedback on how we should be improving the calls, please do let us know by filling in the form at the AKMS Community Calls Feedback. Really important for us to know what I think about this, and this helps us to continue these calls in the future as well, so that our management chain and managers understand that if the calls are valuable for you. But that's it for today. A few minutes late, but that's fine. The recording will be available 24 hours at Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. If you subscribe there, you will know when it's getting published. Typically, it's a bit less than 24 hours. You can follow us on Twitter or in LinkedIn to get the latest updates. We actually just created the Blue Sky account today for the community as well. That's coming up there. If you are in Blue Sky, that's coming up there pretty soon as well. Next week, 19th of November, we'll have the Ignite Watch Party. So no actual demos, but you can join. We can have a chat together. We can kind of figure out together what were the coolest announcements and what does it actually mean for the ecosystem. You can download all of the calls at AKMS Community Calls URL, and that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll be back within a week. Stay safe. Let's stay in touch. And cheers. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.